until their suits are switched over to battery power. That should just be coming in the next few minutes or so, pretty close to their scheduled start time of 7:10 a.m. Central.
Nice job. And make sure that you can push. Yep, and it's got some top on the bottom.
Okay, copy, hatch open and stowed. Emergency MPEF coming closed. Next, for the two of you with staggered switch throws, take your power to bat, expect a warning tone.
EV, bat. EV2, power to bat.
On the UIA, Chris, well, first, just check your display switch is functional.
Functional EV1. Functional EV2.
Okay, Chris, on the UIA, take powers EV1 and 2, two switches to off.
EV1's off. EV2's off.
The lights are off.
The lights are off.
You can then disconnect your SCU from your DCM and install the DCM cover.
Didn't work. EV2 detached and going. EV2 complete. All right. ISU is stowed in the pouch. DCM cover is covered. E1. EV2 same.
Okay, so confirm they're both stowed in the pouch?
Yep, both in the pouch.
Hey, Chris, can you check one more time that the depress pump manual isolation valve is closed?
Depress pump manual isolation valve is closed.
Okay, for both of you, take your temperature control valve to max H.
EV1's in max hot. And EV2 using max hot.
Then you can switch your water to on.
EV1, water on. EV2, water on.
Check your DCM is blank and bite is off.
Blank, no bite, EV1. Blank, no bite, EV2.
Then you can take your temperature control valve as needed between 3 and max cold.
That's set.
And Karen, for step 11, just need the gauge pressures.
EV1 gauge. 4.3. 4.3 for EV2.
Copy that, and I guess at that point it's over to you.
And so getting confirmation from the Spacewalk officer, Karina Eversley, here in Mission Control Houston, the astronauts officially switching their EMU suits over to battery at 6:57 a.m. Central Time, 7:57 a.m. Eastern Time, while the International Space Station was flying over the southern Pacific Ocean just to the northeast of New Zealand. So again, EVA 23 officially underway at 6:57 a.m. Central Time when Chris Cassidy and Luca Parmitano switched their EMU suits over to battery power. They're now preparing to egress from the Quest airlock and move on to their first scheduled tasks. Cassidy will be heading out over to the Z1 truss for a jumper cable installation, part 2 of a task that he started last week on July 9th, while Luca Parmitano moving on to a 1553 power and data cable install. That cable left temporarily on the Node 1 handrail. You can see the astronauts beginning to exit the hatch now.
Copy. I go fast.
And Luca, we have you coming out with the MBSU bag, and Chris is going to come out with the V-Guide bag.
My safety center is locked black on black on the aft.
Copy.
So Parmitano being the first one out of the hatch today. You'll be able to recognize him in the camera views. He'll be wearing a suit with no stripes on it, completely white. Meanwhile, Chris Cassidy will be wearing an EMU with red stripes around the legs and arms, designating him as EV1. His helmet cam, Chris Cassidy will have the number 20 in the lower right corner, while Parmitano's will have the number 17. Again, Parmitano the first one out of the door today, with the EVA officially starting at 6:57 a.m. Central Time.
Chris, you're safe.
Okay.
To release your tether.
Roger that.
And I'm gonna recover the bag and then store it, and then I'm gonna fully come out if you're okay with that plan, Chris.
Yeah. You have the bag now? I don't see a ret going through the hatch.
Say what, Chris?
Do you have the bag on you?
No, I don't.
Ah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I can pass it to you, I think.
That'd be great, Chris. That's perfect. I got it.
You got it.
Yeah. And it's coming out. Okay, and it's 10 stone on the suture handrail, and I'm releasing the rest.
Let it fly.
And now I'm ready to rotate out.
This bag is a monster.
Hey, Chris, when you come out, our safety tether will momentarily be crossing.
Okay?
So I will just pass it behind you once we're both out. And the reason why I did that is because mine is on the wrong side. Our safety tether on the wrong side, sorry. Yeah, this is yours, and it's after.
Well, here, let me just throw my local down. I'll lock it. You do the same and switch them.
Yes, my local is down and locked.
Hold on, mine is not. All right. I have a waist tether, gate closed, and locked.
And so do I. I have a waist tether, gate locked and closed.
I'm ready for you to do whatever you need to move the safety tether hooks.
Sorry about that.
That's no problem, Luca, not one bit. Good catch.
Okay, my safety tether is now locked on the aft steering, the rear aft steering. And your safety tether is on the forward steering, and it's locked black on black gate closed. Now we are in the proper config.
All right.
And Luca, we copied all and followed you along there. Thanks.
You can see the two astronauts floating outside of the Quest airlock. They'll be temporarily stowing some bags that'll be used for tasks a little bit later on in their timeline here on the external portion of Quest before moving on to their first scheduled tasks.
I can see your safer deployment handle is down. Manual isolation valve is down. All the tabs that connect your BOT and your mini workstation are up. Tethers look great. Local, like your rets and things look nice. I like your safety tether pack. All is in order, my friend.
Okay, and I'm going to check yours. I see your green light. Your lights are on. Your tabs are 1, 2, 3 up. I see your safety tether config looks in good order.
The astronauts performing these quick checkouts. Cassidy floating on the left there, again in the suit with red stripes. Parmitano on the right.
All right.
And Luca and Chris, we copied all.
You
Just check your reels are unlocked and get a green light check on Luca.
Green light check on Luca's complete.
And I have 2 unlocked reels.
And I have 2 unlocked reels as well.
Okay, copy. Once you kind of get the thermal cover closed, looks like you're doing that now. Luca, you can head to the nadir routes on node 1 and go up to the PMA2 cover bag.
On my way.
Hey, Luke, I can't tell, but did you temp stow your MBSU bag on the airlock handrail?
That is correct. As soon as I came out, I temp stowed the MBSU bag on the circular handrail.
Copy that. Thanks.
You see
Nice
my
work.
helmet camera, Shane? There it is. Shane, the thermal cover's closed, and I'm on my way up the Cedar Spur.
Copy. Thermal cover closed. That is correct. You'll kind of fair lead going up. You can weave it in the handrails there on the Cedar Spur and head up to phase 1. And once you get just port of the Cedar cart, that's where you're going to drop your bag, Chris, and then we'll head nadir.
Roger that.
Hey, Chris, I got a warning for you. When you head up, there's a sharp edge on the airlock handrail 0537.
0537. Okay, copy.
So the astronauts finishing up some temporary stowage of a few bags that they'll be using in tasks later on in the day during their spacewalk. After this, they'll be moving on to their first scheduled locations. Chris Cassidy will be translating along to the Z1 truss, or part of the backbone structure of the International Space Station, onto his first Z1 jumper cable installation task. Meanwhile, Parmitano will be transferring over towards Node 1, where the 1553 power and data cable that he'll be completing the routing for was left attached to one of the handrails. He'll be finishing that by stringing it over to Node 3, or the Tranquility module.
For a minute, I can read you some warnings and cautions for the Z1.
Now's a great time, Shane.
All right, so the jumper you hooked up the other day completely on the nadir panel, the 005 jumper, that is hot now, so we don't want to demate that, obviously. We're going to be working mainly on the Zenith today. And then a caution is avoid contact with the PCU cathode and HCA ports.
Okay.
And Shane, I'm on Node 1 and ready for directions.
Okay, are you up there on the Zenith where the PMA2 cover bag is, Luca?
It is correct.
All right, Luca. First thing for you, you're going to get the fish stringer out of the bag. Chris, for you, you're looking for mile marker 8010, where you're going to drop the bag.
Getting our first views now from the helmet cams. This one, Luca Parmitano currently translating over and getting ready to finish the routing of that 1553 cable. He'll be moving it from its stow location on a Node 1 or the Unity module's handrail over to Node 3 Tranquility. First, he'll be retrieving a few tools. You'll hear it called a fish stringer from one of the stowed bags on the external portion of the station. You can see a fairly complex diagram here of just what he'll be looking to accomplish today. as he looks to route that cable over. The cable is coming from the U.S. and Russian segment, eventually meeting on the pressurized mating adapter number 1.
Hey Shane, I get the fish finger and just unstorted on me.
Copy, Luca. Now you're going to head pretty much just retrace your steps a little bit, go down to handrail 118, which is you passed on the way up to where the 1553 cable is.
Okay. I'll let you know when I'm there. I'm still recovering the fish finger. I probably said it wrong.
Yeah, no problem, Luca. Once you get that fish stringer out and connected to you, you can head down to 118, and I'll give you more steps down there.
Right, and you want me to get the fish finger with the cable too, right?
Jane, the bag is stowed on face 1.
Copy, Chris. And for you, Luca, we want you to leave the cable, if you can, in the bag. So there should be some tethers in the bag that can hold the cable there, and take the fish stringer with you without the cable.
Yeah, I was right. Right, I was just making sure that the cable is not connected to something. So it was kind of hard to see in the darkness.
Station Houston, Spacer Ground 2 for Karen, no response required. You have a go to open window shutters at any time.
And I'm going under.
Copy, Chris. Once you get on the aft side of S0 there,
Fantastic.
we have you dropping your green hook at 3520. Just a recommendation, it's going to be a little high. We think that'll be a good site for you to drop it.
Okay, so Shane, just for your say that I have to reconfigure the bag because the cable right now is attached to the fish stringer. So I need to just do a little bit of reconfiguration for a second here.
Luca Parmitano continuing to dig through this bag as he gets a few of the tools and temporarily stows the cable that he'll be working to connect. Once he gets all this done, he'll be moving out to retrieve that 1553 cable from where it was temp stowed on one of the Node 1 handrails.
And the fish stringer should be attached to that cable by the cap, and you have a go to take that cap off, and that should release the cable from the fish stringer as well.
Yeah, it was also connected, when we prepared it, we also connected to a wire tie, just to make sure.
Copy all, Luca. Thanks.
So I can take the cap off and leave it attached to the fish stringer.
That is correct.
Jane, green hook, 3515.
Copy, Chris. 3515. You can translate over to the Z1 site, and we'll get you set up and ready to go. Chris, first thing you're going to do over there is get the P1 jumper out of the G-Tech bag from the 3 Bravo jumper that you worked on, that you put in there the other day. And we're going to be working on the aft zenith connectors first.
aft zenith connectors. Copy all.
Chris and Luca, we got a short handover in about 30 seconds, so if we lose you, we'll get you back in just a minute.
Okay, copy.
So a short handover as we wait to reacquire our video signal from the International Space Station while tracking and relay data satellites hand over communication with the International Space Station. Right now, Chris Cassidy continuing to move towards his first location at the Z1 truss, where he'll be wrapping up a task that he started last week on July 9th with the installation of jumper cables, which will provide some critical power path for station systems in the event of any failure of power systems or coolant loops. He'll be continuing a process that he started last week. He completed the installation of these cables on the nadir, or the Earth-facing side of the Z1 truss, and now he'll be completing this on the zenith, or the space-facing side of the Z1 truss structure on board the International Space Station, containing quite a few systems, including the control moment gyroscopes, one of 4 of which will be spun down in order to provide a stable environment for Cassidy as he works. Those control moment gyroscopes are electrically driven attitude control systems for the station.
Yeah, Luca, you should be heading on the port side of Node 1 down the handrail bridge there towards the nadir, and you'll see 118 on the port nadir side.
And I'm taking the cap off of the jumper, right?
That's correct, Chris.
Yeah, I'm at 118.
All right, Lucas, sounds great. You're going to get the 1553 cable that's there. Make sure it's still restrained once you get the bundle. Make sure it still has a wire tie connecting it to 118, and then from there you're going to translate to the Node 3 avionics panel, which is nadir and aft on Node 3.
Hey, Chad, I'm looking at Whiskey 05 P1J1 on the aft zenith RPCM.
Okay, Chris, you can demate the P2 from J1 on the zenith RPCM panel.
Cassidy's arrived at his first work site. You can see here beginning that jumper installation.
Okay, that's demated, and I believe he gets a cap.
That's correct, Chris.
An area affectionately referred to as the rat's nest on the station. You can see it's a warren of various cables connecting different systems throughout the station.
Good call. And once
Okay, 118.
Go ahead, Luca.
You can speak with Chris, and then
Now's a good time for you, Luke. I'm just working on the cap.
Okay, I have released the cable from 118. It's still attached to another wire tie, and I'm ready for the next step.
All right, Luca, once you get down to the Node 3 avionics panel, you can temp stow your fish stringer. A couple of handrails we recommend are 618 and 619, or 618 and 671. And the cap should actually you should be able to reach them all once that fish stringer's in place. You can just take the hooks to the things you're going to demate.
Okay, copy all.
And Chris, for you, once you get that cap on, then you can mate the P1 jumper to the J1.
Okay. On the jumper, a very nice EMI band. Good looking connectors. And same is true for the pins on the RPCM side, although there's no EMI band.
So Cassidy doing a quick checkout of this jumper cable before he moves forward with mating it to its various connectors. Meanwhile, Parmitano confirming that 1553 cable still restrained to the handrail over on node 1, currently transferring over to node 3, where he'll be connecting another 1553 cable to an avionics panel and routing it over to the pressurized mating adapter number 1, where the two cables will eventually meet and be connected.
Okay, Shane, I'm ready for the next steps.
All right, Luca, the first thing you're going to remove are the Node 3 Terminator MLIs. There are two of them, and stow them on the fish stringer. They should be labeled J1 FGB and J2 FGB. Looks like they're right in your view there.
Yep, confirm.
First, Luca will be removing some MLI or multi-layer insulation, some of the protective covering that is covering many of the station systems, protecting them from micrometeoroid debris and various space debris. Attaching items to that fish stringer, a long tether with a series of hooks for temporary stowing various devices.
Red swap, so red to it and then put it on the...
Copy, Luca. Good call.
Maybe you can just release it. I've got a better idea.
Luca doing some quick improvising with the location of that fish stringer. Meanwhile, Cassidy continuing to work with that Z1 jumper cable installation.
I'm so close, Shane, but I'm thinking I might just get in the APFR.
Yep, no worries, Chris. Whatever you think's best.
Okay, that step is complete. I got the two terminator covers off.
Cassidy referring to the APFR, the articulating portable foot restraint, one of the many restraint and tethering devices available to these astronauts during spacewalks, giving them a little bit of extra leverage for various tasks.
So the non-avionics panel, correct?
That's correct, Luca.
All right. This goes up to whip 16, correct?
That's correct. Clocking up 10, Chris.
That's completed, Shane.
Okay, next for you, Luca, release caps, two of those from the 1553 cable, where P1 and P2 are. Stow those caps on the fish stringer.
Copy.
Luca configuring this 1553 cable. Meanwhile, Chris Cassidy has acquired the portable foot restraint and is securing it.
Chris, correct.
The old tool stanchion sweeping through. Make sure it's clear. Luca, it is.
And Chris, the other settings, Papa, Foxtrot 11.
And you're getting a pretty good look at the articulating portable foot restraint that these astronauts can relocate to various points around the station to provide themselves a foothold and a little bit of extra leverage for tasks. It's also used on the space station's robotic arm. Luca Parmitano being harnessed in this and flown around during the radiator grapple bar installations last week on July 9th.
Copy, good. Full test, Chris.
Okay, Shane, the caps are removed from the cable.
Okay, first we're going to do the P1 to J1 connection, so check for good pins and EMI band, no FOD, and you can mate P1 to J1.
Copy, P1 to J1 first. I have a good EMI band. I got 2 good pins and no FOD on the other side.
Copy, Luca.
And 10 Papa, Shane, I'm sorry, one more time for the other 2.
Foxtrot 11, Chris.
Copy, Foxtrot 11. Oh, nice job to the team for coming up with this setting. Very nice.
Cassidy getting that foot restraint while Luca continues to connect a few of these 1553 cables. He's still over at the connector panel on node 3. These astronauts a little over 30 minutes now, at 33 and a half minutes exactly, since the beginning of their spacewalk at 6:52 a.m. Central Time, when they switched their suits over to battery power while still inside of the Quest airlock. Still on their first tasks.
All right.
Nice work, Chris.
It's in.
Hey, next for you, Chris, you're going to place that P2 that you capped, put that in the G-Tech and cinch up the bag.
All right, P1 is connected. And moving on to P2.
Copy that, Luca. Yeah, P2, same thing. Check for good pins, EMI band, no FOD, and you can mate P2 to J2.
Hey, Shane, it might be easier actually for me to do the G-Tech out of the ATFR, so okay, I'll just do that in a little bit.
Yep, no problem, Chris. Next for you, we're going to work on the forward zenith patch panel connectors.
Roger. I think I need a little bit of ATFR change.
That's completed, Shane.
Copy, Luca. P2 is mated. Nice job. You can get the fish stringer and head back to the PMA2 cover bag.
And the fish stringer is being recovered, coming back.
So Luca Parmitano completing the cable mating to that connector panel over on node 3 for these 1553 cables.
One in the bend of the L there.
Meanwhile, Chris Cassidy successfully connecting the aft connector of this jumper, moving on to the forward patch panel connector now.
Correct?
That's correct. P3 J3 jumper from the J3 patch panel.
Okay, that's removed.
Okay, next you can demate P1 from J1, and you're pretty much just swapping these two connectors, Chris.
Copy that.
Looks like that's done, so you can mate P1 to J3 and P3 J3 jumper to J1.
Good work. All the connectors look good. There's no FOD. And the two plugs that have EMI bands are visible and in good shape.
Copy all.
I'm at the back, Shane.
Okay, Luca, you can stow the fish stringer in the PMA2 cover bag.
You work.
T3 to J1 is done on the original cable. Now I'm back on the jumper.
Cassidy continuing with this jumper cable install at the Z1 Zenith side remote power controller module. Meanwhile, Luca Parmitano finishing up with that 1553 cable install, storing some of his tools, including that fish stringer device inside of the Node 3 avionics cable bag. Stowing those tools will be the last step in Luca's list for this 1553 cable install, and he'll next be moving over to another cable routing
To the Russian end.
another cable routing task. He'll be routing an Ethernet cable.
CO2 sensor bed.
Copy, Luca.
You measure 48.6.
Copy that, Luca. I'm with you on page 22, and Shane will join us.
Okay, so I'm reading that periodical monitor physical condition, and if I notice that I'm feeling conditioned by the CO2, then I will open the helmet purge and eventually terminate EVA, otherwise continue EVA.
I copy all. Shane, you're right along with us, right?
And Luca, nice work on the cuff checklist, but no further action on your part.
Copy.
All the cables are mated here, Shane.
And Chris, that looks good. If you're go, Chris, we're going to we'll power up the DDCU here in a second. We'll take a good WVS. Looks like we're getting a pretty good one there now from you. That's great. And then we'll return the APFR back to WIF 13, clocking of 3.
Okay, I concur with go for power and APFR ops in work.
Hey, Chris, you can restow that connector in the GTEC before or after. Just let us know when you're doing it.
Okay, roger that.
So, Luke, I got some...
Shane, I'm ready to the... Yeah, sorry. I'm ready to the Russian end of the cable, and I have it on me.
Copy that. I got some warnings and cautions for you, Luca, and notes.
You can go ahead and read them right now.
Okay, warning, avoid contact with the grapple fixture target, the target pin, and the PDGF curvate coupling. Avoid contact with the FGB sun sensors, sharp edges there. Caution, avoid contact with the Zenith PMA-1 MDM and above 22 inches of the crane stanchion. And a note, do not release the MLM Ethernet cable wire tie labeled pigtail. Okay, that's got like 4 of those connected there, and you don't want to release that.
I got it. Copy all.
That APFR was worth its weight in BTUs.
Good to hear, Chris. Nice work.
And this is Mission Control Houston. Both spacewalkers now complete with their first task for the day. Cassidy completing that Z1 jumper cable installation on the Zenith side of that Z1 remote power controller module. He'll be moving on to his next task, installing V-guides into one of the radiator grapple bars that was installed on the station structure during last week's EVA. He'll be moving out to the one on the Port 1 truss. Meanwhile, Luca Parmitano moving on to the routing of an Ethernet cable, which will be deployed and routed from the Node 1 forward port end cone over to the Zarya module. This in preparation for the upcoming Russian multipurpose laboratory module.
Copy 0141.
Okay, good pull test.
Right now, Parmitano retrieving that Ethernet cable, which will provide networking and data communications to that future multipurpose laboratory module in between the U.S. and Russian segments. The astronauts are currently about 43 minutes into their spacewalk today. Moving along, Parmitano a few minutes ahead of his timeline so far. He'll be retrieving that cable from an avionics cable bag out on Node 3 of the Tranquility module, before translating up to that Node 1 forward end cone over to one of the handrails, and then beginning to route that cable.
James 3, Quebec. And what'd you say for the rest? It's in Echo 11.
Yeah, Chris should be
Seems reasonable.
should be Delta 1, Chris.
Shane, I'm at 10141.
Okay, Luca, you can release the wire ties labeled handrail 0141 start and handrail 0140 first tie.
Both of these RPSMs are open, the MLIs are open chain.
Copy, Chris. Thanks a lot. I think last for you at the work site is just putting that connector in the GTEC bag and cinching it up.
Roger that, all in work.
And Chris and Shane, FYI, I feel a lot of water on the back of my head, but I don't think it's leaked from my bag.
Are you sweating? Are you working hard?
I am sweating, but it feels like a lot of water. It's not going anywhere. It's just in my safety cap.
And Luca, we copy.
Copy.
Just FYI. Okay, the white guy called Start 0141, he's undone.
Copy, Luca.
And you also want the tax tab, did you say?
0141, the start tab and the first tie tab you can release.
First. Okay. Looking for it. Okay, released.
Okay, Luca, next for you, you can ret and remove the J2 cap from the existing Ethernet pigtail.
Copy.
So right now, Chris Cassidy finishing some cleanup work from that Z1 jumper cable installation, which he completed successfully. Moving on to his next task will be the installation of those guide bolts inside of the radiator grapple bar.
Node 1.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the team monitoring a few issues with Luca Parmitano's suit that he's continuing to report. Has some water in his communications cap. Teams on the ground continuing to take a look and monitoring any potential issues, but right now Luca still continuing on with his work, currently over routing a cable from the Node 1 forward port over to the Zarya module, an Ethernet cable which will provide data and communications between the U.S. segment and the Russian segment in preparation for the upcoming Russian multipurpose laboratory module.
There's no fault in the pigtail.
Complete here, Shane.
Copy that, Chris, and Luca, copy that. You can mate the pigtail J2 to P2, the MLM Ethernet.
P2 to J2.
You guys happy with the work site here, Shane?
Yeah, Chris, that looks really good. Really appreciate both you and Luca. You're about, just to let you know, you're about 40 minutes ahead on the timeline. So, Chris, you can slow down your pace a bit, and we'll continue.
Okay, that's no problem.
Hey, Luca, while you're working there, can you give us maybe some more words on the water? Maybe identify the source, you think, and then is it getting any worse or is it the same?
Good questions. It feels the same. It's not increasing nor more. I still feel it, and I cannot tell you the source. My only guess is that it came out of my bag and then found its way over there in the back, but I don't have any water in the front of the helmet. C2 is connected to A2.
Copy, connected. Next for you, Luca, we got some specific questions for you to describe the Node 3 heat exchanger worksite access. So whenever you're ready for that, let me know.
Yeah, I'm ready. I see the panel right to the left.
Okay, first question for you, Luca, is how far can you reach into the crevice towards the MMOD shield Charlie 1-01?
Okay. Well, from the position that I'm in right now, basically, there's no way I can reach inside into the tube. So can you see it in my MWS where I am right now?
Yes, we have a good view, Luca.
Sorry, yeah. So I can reach with my hand where it says it's a heat exchanger. Maybe if I completely change I can completely rotate my body. I can reach a little lower, a little more inside.
Okay, so it looks to me at least like it's just a fingertip reach. It's not an operational reach where you could actually do something down there. Is that correct?
That is correct. And Chris is coming and I think he's giving me an opinion too.
I agree with all that you guys said.
Okay, Luca, copy that.
I try to rotate. To make it a little clearer, I am completely wedged in between the three modules right now. I have very little mobility, and my visor inches from structures.
Can you move your helmet light into your helmet? It's stuck between the handrail and your head.
No,
Yeah, you're really wedged in there.
I told you.
Осторожно. You're doing a skills run. This is where they would tell me to rescue you.
And Luke, the last question, and Chris, you might be able to help out. Is it something like the mini workstation or your safer that's restricting you when you try to move any?
So what I see is the BRT could be completely loosened and sent down by your leg, and the mini workstation might flatten out then into the gap. If that makes any sense, Luca. I don't know. You're the guy on the scene. I'm just.
What was blocked? Guys, it's
Yeah, but your BRT was bumped. See the handrail that your left hand is in right now?
Mm-hmm.
Your BRT was stuck on it when I arrived.
Okay.
And it was pushing you high such that your backpack was against the other handrail.
Okay, so like this.
There you go. Yep, that freed up. He's still wedged in there pretty darn good, Shane.
Hey, copy that, Chris and Luca. Thanks for the questions there. So, Luca, if you can squeeze out of there, we'll get you going on tying down the cable.
Let me know.
But you're able to get your actions in there for today?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Nice job. That was a tight little breeze.
Sure was.
So Luca Parmitano giving the ground a description of his work site there over by Node 3. He'll now get ready to continue his task with routing that Ethernet cable from Node 1 over to the Zarya module, having already completed the connection of that 1553 power and data cable as his first task for the day. Meanwhile, Chris Cassidy is going to begin translating over to his next task, which will be the installation of some V-guide bolts onto one of the radiator grapple bars that was installed on the Spacewalk last week on July 9th. Cassidy already completing the Z1 jumper cable installation, a continuation of last week's Z1 jumper cables.
My Snoopy cap.
I see Deeds' sweat.
No, it's not sweat.
No, it's not sweat.
Hey, Luca, can you clarify, is it increasing or not increasing?
It's hard to tell, but it feels like a lot of water.
Oh, I see. I see it now, wiggling. Can you see? It's over here, right?
Yeah, but I have that, and then there is about the same amount of when I took the helmet down last time, Chris.
Really?
Yeah, I can feel it in the back of my head.
Uh-huh.
I don't understand where it's coming from. It can't be the
It
water.
has to be the bag. Can you suck it dry? Oh, so that stuff on your forehead is not sweat?
No, it's not.
Oh, I see.
Okay, it has to be it's the bag, because the bag is dry now.
Yeah.
And Chris and Luca, you guys can just hang tight there. Chris, you can continue to help troubleshoot if need be, but we're going to talk about it here for a minute.
Okay, you copied all that, right? He drank the remaining part of his bag. Bag is empty now, and so there's something less than a liter in the back of his head, 800 milliliters maybe.
No, it's less than that.
Less than that, half a liter. Half a liter in the back of his head.
All right, Chris, so you see about half a liter of water,
Yeah,
and you think the drink bag is empty. Is that correct?
We cannot see half a liter water. We're just estimating that we filled it just a little less than 1,000 milliliters, and he has been drinking it during the depress and things, and he just sucked in a couple hundred milliliters right now. So just based on that alone, doing the math, it sounds like about somewhere in the neighborhood of half of the drink bag, and that's just a guess on our parts.
Yeah, it's a guess. I guess I'm overestimated, but it's a good guess.
And Luca was able to drink a couple of water blobs off the visor right now, so it's less.